Okay, how's that?
Oh, wonderful.
Much better. Much better.
I don't know what it is with the laptop. It's weird. It just doesn't.
Right.
Okay, but we're good.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir, we are.
Wonderful. All right. Bill, where in the world are you coming from today?
Arizona.
All right.
So what you doing in Arizona, man? That's awesome.
Because I'm older, and when it's cold, I don't like it. So we spend the winters down here and the summers up in Utah.
Oh,
gotcha.
dude, that's awesome.
I got an aunt in Tucson, and she tells me all of her neighbors are snowbirds, and she loves them. She goes, they're my favorite neighbors.
All right, I'm not going to touch any more buttons.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, fine. That's fine by us.
Okay. Oh my God, are you kidding me?
You go check your door. You're good.
Well, what's going to happen is my dogs are going to start barking here in a minute. So I'm going to hang on. Let me put them out. Hey, let's go outside. Okay, there you go. Go get them, boys. Okay. Good God Almighty.
The FedEx man knocks at the wrong time everywhere, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's like, well, it's yesterday. Of course, where's my wife? Playing golf.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
You know, it's always good when they say, what are you doing this morning? How about we change that to, what do you want me to do this morning?
Yes. All right. So I'm going to pull this down. We're going to get going. And Bill, as always, just have fun and cut up, okay?
Okay, you got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with you guys. And now we are about to bring on a very special guest who we had on earlier in the season, who actually got his prediction right between Alabama and Texas. He is a Grammy-nominated, certified platinum comedian, actor, TV host, and famous for the slogan, "Here's your sign." Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome back to the Stingray Show, Mr. Bill Engvall. Bill, how are you doing, sir? And let me just go on ahead and add, you are a college football analyst because you picked Alabama and Texas correctly, because you said Texas was going to win in Tuscaloosa, and they did.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think I got the point spread pretty close.
You did,
yes. First of all, I want to tell your listeners, just to clear up any kind of confusion, when you hear the term Grammy nominated, that's just a nice way of saying you didn't win.
Right. But Bill, you did say, I checked it, 34-28 Texas, and that was pretty darn close.
Well, I was very proud of the boys that day, and I got to be honest with you. I was a little surprised when I saw them put into the college football playoffs,
yes,
because of their loss to Oklahoma. But I got to tell you, I'm feeling really good about the Longhorns, especially in the season coming up. With they're stacked at the quarterback position now, unless somebody decides to jump through the portal, which I pray to God they don't. Yes. Yeah, it's good. I actually think this is going to be one of the best college playoffs we've had in years.
I'm with you.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you my quick prediction is that, and what I hope to do is, hang on, someone's at the door. So I'm going to answer the door. This is welcome to Bill Engvall's life.
You're fine.
My prediction as I walk through the darkness of tunnels.
You're fine.
Trying to find a quiet area. Anybody who's got dogs, dogs are amazing that they just know exactly when to screw things up.
Right.
So here's my prediction. This is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that Texas beats Washington. I think that is going to be. It has the chance to go in one of two ways. Either it's going to be a complete blowout one way or the other, or it's going to be a field goal.
Yeah.
I think Washington's been kind of underrated all year. It's a tough squad. I mean, they are tough. And then I'm hoping, and I think that Alabama will beat Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
because Michigan's in a mess right now off the field.
Right.
And you can't tell me that doesn't affect the players in some way. So, and I'm actually hoping that Alabama beats Michigan and that Texas beats Washington, just so we can prove that it wasn't a fluke that we beat you in Tuscaloosa.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm really, I got to tell you, Sarkisian has done a great job. This guy, I'll be honest with you, I was a little on the fence about him at first because, again, here we go with that off the field stuff, which, unless you're just being egregious about something, I don't know. But he's got these kids believing, and they're a tough squad. And so my dream would be Alabama, Texas in the national championship.
Yes.
Bill, my fun question for you about this Texas team is, what players have you enjoyed, or what was the highlight this year other than the Alabama win in Tuscaloosa?
One of the things I loved about it was, and I worry that Texas has this tendency over the season to jump out way ahead, and then they kind of lay back.
Yeah.
And they allow teams to get back in the game. And with teams like that are in the Final Four, you can't be dropping down 21 to nothing against Alabama or any of these schools, Washington or Michigan. If it is, you get down 2 or 3 touchdowns, they're not easy to come back on.
Right.
But they did persevere, and they caused me a little bit of acid indigestion in a few games. Thank you, Prilosec. But I think the thing that I've been most impressed with is with Ewers, because if you look back when he first came in, he was one of those guys that I was worried was going to be like a Baker Mayfield, or just too much pomp and not enough circumstance.
Yeah.
Right.
But he showed up this year. He's a more mature guy. I don't know who talked to him in the offseason, but he seems to be more about team now as opposed to just the individual. And so, and the other thing we got through, Texas also tends to play to the competition. That was one of my fears a little bit about Texas this year, was teams that they weren't like Oklahoma. That was a great game, and they could have won. They should have won that, but just how football goes. But then they play like Kansas always plays them hard. A Tech. I was the Texas Tech game. I was sweating.
Yeah.
They look like they didn't really have the get up and go as they used to have, but they tend to play to the competition. I use that golf analogy. Like when I'm playing like Pebble Beach, I play better because it's just a nice course.
Right.
You take me to a dog track, I'm probably going to not play as well.
Right. So, Bill, I do want to ask you one final thing about Texas, and then we will move on. Obviously, they have a huge rivalry game with Oklahoma. How many times have you been to the Red River rivalry in person, and do you have a fun story surrounding that rivalry?
I hate to kill your question. I've never actually been to the game.
Gotcha. Okay.
Only because 2 reasons. One, if I'd have gone early when I was in college, there's a good chance I probably would have ended up in jail. Because they just, college kids, booze, and football. It's not, somebody's going down.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm the idiot that usually would get caught.
That's your welcome to the SEC moment.
Yeah. So, but I think that I was initially worried about, because I hate to lose rivalry games. So, that's what makes college football. And I understand and get the whole money thing, and in Oklahoma, I think are going to benefit greatly from the SEC, if nothing else for recruiting tools, because they're going to be seen on TV more, because God knows television loves the SEC.
Yes.
And that's a great thing. So I think that's going to help them in their recruiting. We will still be able to keep the rivalry alive because Oklahoma came over. And I hope that maybe I would mind I would love to see in the future an Alabama Texas rivalry game.
Yeah.
That's one that all eyes would be on, and I'd be scared to think about how much money got bet on it. But it's I think it's going to be a good thing for the SEC and for Texas and Oklahoma.
So, guys, hold that thought because we're up against another break. And when we come back, we are going to dive into the career of Bill Engvall. That's on
Oh,
the other
Lord.
side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. All right, Heath, I'm going to keep this recording. That was great stuff. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I'm going to bring us back. Okay, Heath?
Okay.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Our guest this evening is a certified platinum comedian who is also an actor and a TV host famous for Here's Your Sign, Bill Engvall. And Bill, I've got to ask you, throughout high school and college, what did you ultimately want to do before you got into comedy?
I wanted to be a professional baseball player.
Yeah.
I
Me too.
love baseball, and to this day I love it. Unfortunately, I didn't have the athletic skills that were necessary.
Me too.
Nor do any of my offspring. Nobody's ever looked at the Engvall kids and go, "Yeah, that's an athlete right there." It's so if I could have played professional baseball, I think that would have been a dream. I used to always say, "Give me 1 year as a professional baseball player against 4 years of doing what I did, and I would have taken the baseball thing." I'll tell you a very funny story about my baseball. So a few years back, I went to Angel Baseball Fantasy Camp, and if you're a guy and you love baseball, there's nothing better. So so I show up, and I got to know a lot of the coaches, and one of them was my favorite. He's kind of like my adopted granddad. His name's Clyde Wright. And Clyde is from Tennessee. He played for the Rangers during Nolan Ryan's no hit, complete game, no hits. And then he himself had one with the Angels. So so we were playing, and Clyde's he's great. He's funny, and he and I just hit it off. So we go through fantasy camp, and we started going to the Angel games when we lived in LA. So the first day we get there, my wife and I go to the game, and we walk by they were selling baseball bats, which I thought was really, like full size baseball bats. Which I thought somebody didn't think this one through at a ball game where they sell beer.
Right.
And so I said, but you could get your name engraved on the bat just like the pros. And so we were walking by, and I looked at my wife and I said, "Oh, baby, I'm going to buy a bat." I go, "I'm going to have my name put in it." And she goes, "Well, why don't you wait till like Father's Day or your birthday?" And I was thinking, I buy you jewelry, cars, whatever you want, and you're busting my chops about a $60 bat. But what I didn't realize was Clyde had already bought one.
Oh.
And I'm being a jackass. I'm like, every chance I get, I'm like, "Oh, I guess I'm not old. There's a little kid with a big bat. I guess I can't have one." I'm just going on and on, and they're just feeding me rope, and I'm just wrapping it around my neck. Well, it comes down to about seventh inning, and Clyde shows up with the baseball bat with my name on it. And I said, "Oh my God." And Gail goes, "Nice going." And so, and Clyde goes, "I was going to have him put A-hole, but they wouldn't do it on the bat." So it became kind of a running joke amongst the coaches that my baseball nickname was A-hole. And so at the time, the Angel Farm Club, single A, was in San Bernardino, and the pitching coach asked me if I wanted to come down and take infield with the players, and I was like, "Hell yes!"
Right. So
I'm out there, I'm catching balls, and I'm having the time of my life. And I did this for like 2 or 3 games. And then the next day the next game I was at, the coach said, "Look, we got a little bit of a problem." I go, "Look, I don't want to cause any issues." He goes, "No." He said, "People are asking who's the guy who's not in uniform out on the field." He said, "We got to get you a uniform." And I was like, "Oh, this is getting better by."
Right.
He said, "There's one in my locker. Go put it on." So I'm in. It's got the socks, the pants, and I grabbed the jersey, and on the back it says "A-hole." And I said, "Oh, you know what?" I go, "I'm going to wear this just to bust his chops." So I'm out on the field. I'm playing, catching balls and stuff. And one of the kids comes up to me and says, "Dude," he goes, "you got to take that jersey off." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Because my mom keeps asking me who A-hole is." No, she said, he keeps asking me who a hole is. That was, yeah. All of a sudden now I'm Puerto Rican. And so if you've ever been to a minor league baseball park, you can hear everything.
Right.
So I line up with the kids on the third baseline for the national anthem, and the Angel dugout's right behind us. And there's 4 seats right behind the dugout. And this girl's singing the national anthem, and I hear a guy behind me go, "I swear to God, look at it. It says A-hole." And his friend goes, "It's not either. It's a-hole." And he goes, "No, dude, it's A-hole." They had an argument.
That's great.
You should have turned around. Like the H is silent. It's holy.
Yeah. And so, and as a result of all that, because word got around the league pretty quick, I probably got 10, 12 jerseys that say A-hole on the back of them.
That's great.
So I'm just hoping the Longhorns don't get hold of hear this story and get hold of a jersey and put A-hole on the back of it.
Right.
Yeah, some players get shown off for their strength, some for their bat, some for their arm. Yours is shown off by another body part that we don't like to talk about too much.
Oh yeah. And the funny part of the whole thing was, like this, the pitching coach would go, "Come on, let's go down to the bullpen and let you throw some." But in a minor league park, the bullpen is right there on the field.
Right.
And I'm throwing a good 30, 40 miles an hour. And you can see opposing players jogging by watching me throw, and they go, because I'm in uniform.
Right.
And I'm sure they're thinking, "Oh boy, this is going to be a stat fixer tonight, baby. I'm going to keep every." They tried to get me to run out of the dugout and contest a call at home plate. I couldn't do that.
Oh, good stuff. Now, Bill, when we had you on the first time, we found out that you're a Cowboys fan.
Yes, I am.
And you talked about Dak. You said Dak's been putting up great numbers, but I don't think he can do it. But Dak has had a phenomenal season. Now, this past Sunday didn't go his way, but neither did the Cowboys defense.
Well, yeah. And my thing with Dak is I like him. He's a good guy. He's a good human being. He is, and I feel bad to say this, but he's becoming Tony Romo. He's got great stats, but he just can't get you over that hump. And by the way, there's no way we're getting through the Niners. That team is so stacked. I mean, you might as well just go ahead and say, "Go ahead." It's like when somebody wants to get into traffic, you're like, "Yeah, I'm not that big a hurry. Go ahead."
Right.
So, but yeah, Dak is great. When he starts getting happy feet, it just, I think Dallas is not built as a come from behind team.
Right.
They got to jump out quick and then they're fine. He settles down, but it's almost like when he's up against the wall that he starts to panic a little bit. I still think he's a very good quarterback. But I wouldn't be opposed. I don't know how long they're going to stick with him. I mean, how long can you? It's like, God bless Tony Romo. I mean, he had stats better than Rodgers, better than Favre, but just nothing to show for it other than, "Hey, nice job."
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Hey, fun question. You talked about the Red River rivalry and watching it on TV, and of course you watch the Cowboys. What's like the pregame at your place when you're getting ready to watch a game? Are you ordering wings in? Are you cooking out? Or are you going to a sports bar?
I'll cook out a little bit, but my thing with and here's why I cook out, because invariably in a Dallas Cowboy game, I will turn the TV off 8 to 10 times. Just because, and it gives me a chance to cool off and go mess with the grill. Because I always feel like if I shut it off, then something good will happen. It's a sickness. I've been a Cowboy fan since I knew what football was. I mean, I was in the stadium when when Roger Staubach got knocked out and Clint Longley came in for one play and threw the Hail Mary to Drew Pearson to win the game. I just love I think part of it too is the uniforms. They're just iconic.
Yeah, they are.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and the same with the Longhorns. I mean, if I could walk around all day long with a white helmet with the Longhorns on it without people making fun of me, I might. Just.
Mhm.
But I'm afraid people would look at me like, "Oh, look, I wonder what happened."
That's great. So, guys, hold that thought because we were up against another break. And when we come back, we are going to continue to talk to comedian Bill Engvall. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be back after the break. Man, great stuff. Thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome. This is fun for me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Our guest this evening is comedian Bill Engvall. And Bill, I do want to ask you about something that has happened most recently. You had a Netflix comedy stand-up called Here's Your Sign, The Last One. Go on ahead and tell everybody about that stand-up performance there, and obviously what it meant to you to do it for one last time.
Thank you, bud. It's called Here's Your Sign. It's finally time. My last show. I am retired from the road now, and I wanted to do one last special for the fans, and it was awesome. My son introduced me. It was New Year's Eve, Salt Lake City. We'd sold out 2 shows at the Eccles Theater, and it was just magical. It was, and a lot of people have asked me why did I retire when I was at the top of my game, and that was what I always wanted to do, was to leave on my terms. And I never wanted to be that act that people went, "Oh, he should have quit last year,"
Right.
But it turned out great. It's on Amazon Prime Video, Google Play.
Okay.
It's on YouTube and Vimeo, whatever that is. And it was just kind of my goodbye to the fans from the road. I'm 66, and I did, not to sound maudlin here, but one of the things I always told my wife is I don't want to die on the road.
Right.
And the longer you do this, the higher the chances, because the road takes it out of you. I mean, it really takes years off your life. And I'm enjoying retirement. I'm playing a lot of golf. I'm visiting, spending time with my grandkids. We're getting ready to have all sorts of fun and take trips with my wife. So it's a good thing. And the other thing is, guys, is that when I was young and starting, I had a pointy shovel and I had a well of material and I was just flinging bits everywhere. And I started to notice that now I got that square face shovel. I'm kind of scraping the bottom, going, now that could be funny if I worked on it,
Right.
So,
So, Bill,
but you know what? It's a good thing.
yes.
Have I missed it? Yeah, a little bit. I'd be lying if I didn't say I did. But I it was weird for me because I didn't realize how emotional it would be for me. And I understand now when athletes retire and it really gets to them on the podium.
Yeah.
Because you've been defined by that your whole life.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're not doing that now. So yeah, there's things I miss, but it's not enough that I want to go back out on the road.
Yes. So, Bill, staying with that, I do want to ask you, while you were doing your tours, what were some cities and some venues that you absolutely loved to perform in?
Well, let me break that into 2 categories.
Okay.
One is me and by myself, as opposed to me with the guys. I loved playing in Atlanta at the Fox Theater. There's a place in St. George, Utah called Tuacahn. It's an amphitheater built into the rocks, which is just phenomenal.
Wow.
And then with the guys, we were selling out arenas, so there, we had such a good time. But the problem with this job is people go, "Oh man, it's such a great job. You get to travel around and see stuff." No, you don't. You travel around, you see a hotel room for 22 and a half hours, and then you go do your show, and then you're on a plane to the next town. So I haven't really got a chance to appreciate what I did. One of my favorite, I'll tell you, one of my favorite stories on the road was in Dothan, Alabama.
Oh.
and this was early. This was like when Here's Your Sign had first come out. And so I used to, what happened was you'd go in like early, like 3 or 4 days early, and you do radio and stuff like that to pump up the show. So by the time the show was over, we got in the limousine, and the promoter said, "What do you want for dinner?" I go, "Dude, I've eaten fried stuff all week." I go, I just want like a nice piece of fish. And the driver goes, "Oh man, we got a great seafood restaurant here." And I go, "Dude, let's go." He pulls into Long John Silver.
Oh, it's great.
And I started laughing.
Great.
I thought it was a joke. I started laughing, and he goes, "No, I'm serious, dude. This food is good."
Wow.
Oh, that's funny. Bill, is there a city that you never liked going to? Was there a city like, I don't want to go to XYZ city?
You know what? No, because
Okay.
and I say that with all honesty. The people were just always so nice and so good. And that was back, unfortunately, another thing about retirement that's happened to me, it happened, and I knew it was time, was society's changed now.
Oh gosh, yes.
It used to be that comedy was the release valve, like they would go to a show and laugh and have a great time. And now it seems like it's become the instigators. Like people go to shows hoping you're going to say something that offends them so they can holler out. And I just don't, if I have to worry about somebody rushing the stage or doing something, throwing something, then I can't commit to the whole show. And that's not fair to those folks that came out to see a show.
Right.
So it just, unfortunately, when the Will Smith, Chris Rock incident happened, that opened Pandora's box. And whether staged or not, I can't make that call. But all I know is like I was doing a show in the special I do a bit about giving my son a pocket knife for his birthday.
Right.
And in the middle of the bit, a guy walks up to the stage and tosses a pocket knife he didn't like throw it at me, but just tossed it up on the stage. And I was like, what made you think this is okay to do?
Right.
It's like, and any entertainer will tell you, we can only see maybe 2-3 rows. I don't know what's coming out of the back of the room. And then that singer that somebody threw their cell phone and hit her in the head. It's like, what has happened? Just going and sitting and enjoying a show. So, but as far back to your question, I've just been so blessed. My fans are just such good people. They're just good to not steal a phrase, but they're just good, hardworking, blue collar people. And all they want to do is laugh. And hopefully I was able to do that over the years to make them laugh and forget some problems. And I hope that they'll watch the special and say, yeah, I missed that.
Yes.
Wow.
So, Bill, let's go back to 1990. You moved to Southern California to dedicate full time to comedy. What was that transition like for you of going from Texas to Southern California?
It was pretty much a culture shock. But not in a really necessarily a bad way. It's just I knew why I was there, and so I was pretty much focused on that. And it took me a little bit to get used to it, but LA was great. I mean, LA is one of those towns, if you can't find something to do, you ain't looking,
Right.
It's, does it have its downside to traffic and all that mess? Yeah. But, my kids were born and raised there and went to high school there, and everybody turned out all right. So, it's, I think sometimes LA gets a bad rap, whether it's deserved or not, just because the size of it. And, but I came from Dallas, so it wasn't like I came, from Paris, Texas to LA. So I knew what it was. You would think my dog would get a sore throat after a while. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's like, oh my God, shut up.
We can't hear him.
Okay, good. As long as you can't hear him. But it's like, he's barking at nothing. There is nothing out there.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, it was, and LA was where you had to be, LA or New York. And I wasn't going to go to New York. So LA was the other option. And listen, it was great to me. I got to achieve every goal I ever set in front of myself. And, I had my own TV show, movies, books, platinum, gold records. I mean, other than Bill Engvall on ice, I don't know what else I could do. And
Right.
nobody wants to see that.
And Bill, I did hear a fun story about your wife did not like the transition out there because of your acting. Can you please tell
Oh,
us that story?
so I'm an idiot. We moved out there, and I knew I wanted to be an actor, and I thought you wanted to be an actor, just call yourself an actor. I didn't know there was, you go to school and learn techniques and stuff like
Right.
that. So my wife and I moved to LA. She was 8 months pregnant with our first child. We had 2 dogs. We're in a Volkswagen Golf. We drive to LA. We rent a house that we cannot afford, but there was nothing. We had 2 dogs. That mean, having dogs and trying to find a place to rent in LA, you might as well carry uranium around your neck because no one. And so we settled in, and I got my first audition, and I told Gail, I go, they would send you they call it the sides. And it's just basically like 2 or 3 pages of the whole script that they want to see how you do it. So I said, read these sides with me. So I did, and I said, I got this. I got it. And I drove off, and I found this out post fact that after I left the house, she walked out on the back porch, sat down, and started crying. And I said, why did you start crying? She goes, because I'm having a baby. We're in a house we can't afford, and you can't act your way out of a wet paper bag. So, so in her own great Texas lady way, she got me to acting classes, and then stuff progressed from there.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Bill, I wanted to ask you, when you were young and getting going, what celebrity were you so happy to meet for the first time? Like, oh, wow, you were in awe of them. Like, I cannot believe I'm in the presence of. Who would that be for you?
Earl Holliman.
Okay.
You remember him from Sons of Katie Elder and Policewoman.
Yeah.
Earl and I used to sit, and he would just tell me great old Hollywood stories, and we became friends. And I was on a show with him, which was why I got to meet him. And he was just an amazing guy, and I was just in awe of him. I will say this: that the weirdest, years ago, I got HBO was doing Willie Nelson's 60th birthday. They were filming Willie's. This shows you how far back this was.
Yeah, because he just celebrated 90.
Yeah. So my job was I wasn't even on the show. My job was just to keep the audience up in between camera takes.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 things happened that night. One, I looked down, and in the front table, right in front of me, is Kevin Costner. And I'm doing my stick, and he's pounding the table, laughing. And I finish and bring on they go to the next thing. So I go back in the back where they had this awesome setup bar and green room that was crazy. And this guy says, hey, Kevin Costner wants to meet you. Now, he had just come off Dancing with Wolves,
Right.
Bull Dirt, and so I was like, yeah, hell yeah. And I know, and Gail was like a huge Kevin Costner fan.
Right. What woman was it back then?
Yeah. And so I'm trying to get her attention at the bar because I can see Kevin walking towards me. And I'm waving at her, and she's giving me that wife look, like, what? And I go, could you just once in your life follow some directions? And so she finally starts walking to me, and I see them coming. They're coming just like this at me. And she sees Kevin Costner, and she got that look that a calf gets at looking at a new gate. Just dumbfounded. And he said, hey, man, I think you're really funny. And I said, thank you very much. I go, and I had done some jokes about Gail. And I said, this is my wife, Gail. And he took her by the hand and pulled her into him and said, you are such a good sport. And she never said a word. And he left. And I go, what is wrong with you? I go, that's Kevin Costner. Why didn't you say hi or how you doing? I'm glad you enjoyed my husband's show. She goes, because if I'd have opened my mouth, vomit would have come out of it. The other thing that happened was, so this was a who's who of music at this thing. I mean, it was Bonnie Raitt, B.B. King, Johnny Cash. I mean, it was Paul Simon, uh, Stevie Ray Vaughan, who else? Not Stevie Ray Vaughan, Stevie Wonder, and oh my God, I just had a senior moment. Who sang Georgia?
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles. Okay. So, and the thing was that everybody was doing a song, one of Willie's songs with Willie, which was amazing. Willie Nelson has written like a bazillion songs.
Yeah.
So, Willie and Ray Charles come out and they sing Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground, which was amazing.
I bet.
So they finish the song and Willie gets up and walks off stage. Well, Ray Charles still sitting at the piano and the producer goes, go, 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 go. And they rushed me back on stage and Ray Charles is just sitting at the piano and I didn't know what to do.
Right.
And so all of a sudden Ray starts playing a little something on the piano and I look back and I go, yeah, I look at the audience and I said, Ray Charles and I worked up a little song we'd like to do for you. And the director goes, he's doing another song. Get off the freaking stage. And I thought, you know what? If you want to get yourself kicked out of show business, that's a good way to do it. Step on a Ray Charles song.
Right.
I got a second part to that same question. Who was someone in your younger days that you were so excited to meet and you were in awe of, and then you met them and they were a jerk? And you're like, man, I can't believe this person.
Oh man. So many of them.
Really?
No, I'm teasing. Oh God, what's his name? Just a space cadet. His hair's always wild, and I've been on a couple shows with him. It's not Nick Nolte, but he kind of looks like Nick Nolte.
Gary Busey?
I'm trying to think of something he was in, but he was like just always like he wrote a book. People know him as being crazy, like legitimately crazy.
He's not Gary Busey.
Gary Busey, that's who it is.
Gary Busey. Okay.
Yeah, he was the disappointment because first time I met him, he was just 3 sheets to the wind.
Right.
And then the second one, I think it had all taken effect, and he was just, you'd be like, "Hey, Gary, how you doing? Let me tell you something, man. There's monsters out there." I'm like, "What?" They're out here. They came here from outer space. I'm like, "Oh, geez, okay, we're out." So it would probably be him.
Okay, Gary Busey. That's great.
Don't you love it when you're probably too young. You don't have those senior moments yet where you got a train of thought and then it's like just goes on vacation.
I got 4 kids and 2 of them have just walked in the room. They're out for school. I'm usually doing the show by myself, and now I got everybody walking through the den right now. So, Bill, I apologize. Here's
that dog's trying to sing the national anthem. What are you worried
about? Who is someone that you always wanted to work with and you never got the chance to do it?
Bob Newhart.
Really?
Bob Newhart was probably the reason I got into comedy, because when I was a kid, Dad always had Bob Newhart records in the house, and I would listen to him. I hadn't even thought about being a comedian at that point, but I would love to have worked with him or Steve Martin.
Okay.
Gotcha. So, Bill, most recently, you were a returning character on Last Man Standing with Tim Allen as Reverend Paul. How did that all come about? And tell us, please, what it was like to work with Mr. Tim Allen.
It was great. The casting director and Tim knew me, and so they and the producers. So it was just kind of, they called me in for one, and then it went really well, and so they started adding me more and more into the show. And I was sad to see the show end because they had let me be known that I was going to be heavier in the show, and I was looking forward to it because that was one of my favorite characters to play. And Tim was great. When the full cast was there, and I was there, it was Tim, Jay Leno, and me. So in between camera takes, it was a joke fest. I mean, who could come up with the best joke?
Right.
And the lady who played his wife, Nancy Travis, actually played my wife on my show. So it was always like an old homecoming. But yeah, I really always enjoyed playing with Tim. we had a brief time we thought we might go tour together, but that never came to fruition.
Right.
And but yeah, he was a good guy. He's still a good guy. He's very talented, and I'm always grateful to him for giving me the opportunity to play Reverend Paul, which then led to other events in my life, which I never saw coming.
So, Bill, I do have to tell you this because I am a huge fan. The best thing that I've ever seen you in is the movie Delta Farce.
Oh my God!
Can you please
You
tell
know,
us a little bit about making that awesome film?
well, the biggest problem with Delta Farce is it really needed a script. It was a great idea, but just somehow went sideways. But a lot of people watched it, and they liked it. And of course, being with Larry it was so much fun. And we shot this little movie, and for those who may not have seen it and consider yourself maybe lucky, it's about three guys that were in the National Guard in some little town, and we get called up, and we think we're going to Iraq, but the plane crashes, and we end up in Mexico, but we think it's Iraq, and it just went south from there.
Yes.
But
And
I'll listen. That's my guilty pleasure. I had so much fun doing that show because they would kind of like a lot of times would just come to us and they go, "What do you guys think we ought to do in this scene?" I'm like, I don't. But we got to drive around in Jeeps and Humvees and shoot 50 cal rifles, and it was like a little boy's dream. It was
Right.
great.
And you got paid for it.
I'll tell you a funny story about that happened on that set. Was we were doing a scene in this cantina that was supposed to have this big party, and before we were shooting shooting the film, the props lady would come in and she put like guacamole and chips and salsa on the table just as props.
Right.
Well, she'd walk away and Larry'd start eating them. And she would come back and she'd have she goes, "Didn't I put a bowl of what?" I go, "Yeah, the human vacuum back there ate it all."
so, Bill, a quick follow up to that. What was it like acting with the star Danny Trejo, please?
Oh, Danny Trejo, he was great.
Oh, I bet.
He was so much fun and yet so intimidating.
Right.
We shot this little movie called Cowboy Dreams, and once again, boys and guns, we're flipping them around. And I go, "Man, where'd you learn to do your gun work like that?" And he goes, "Robbing Ralph's grocery stores." He had been to prison, and but you will not find a nicer guy in the world. We had so much fun on that little set, and that was a really fun one to do.
Right.
I bet. Bill, I'm a sucker. I went and bought a lottery ticket. It's up to what, $500-600 million. So what do I need to do after I win about going to baseball fantasy camp? What are the do's and don'ts of baseball fantasy camp?
Okay. So number one, don't think they're looking to recruit you. And I say that because we had a couple guys on our squad that were like rolling into guys and, brush back pitches. And it's like, dude, we're 45-year-old men.
Right.
It's, and stretch, do a lot of stretch. After the first day, I was laying in bed with my wife in the hotel and she goes, "You need to get going." I go, "I don't think I can." I literally was so sore because you're running around, you're 45, 50 years old. You think you're all good. And then you lay down and the body goes, "Whoo, we're going to take a little break here for a couple of days now."
Right.
And the other thing to do is just soak it in. Enjoy every minute of it because it is so much fun.
Yeah.
So, Bill, I've got 3 questions left for you.
Okay.
The first one is
yes, and no.
back in 2000, you and your friend Jeff Foxworthy launched the first blue collar comedy tour with Ron White and Larry the Cable Guy. Talk about how that all started and what were some highlights from the road that you happen to have, please?
Well, first off, the Kings of Comedy had done a tour like that, but they were mainly East Coast, West Coast. They were the media's babies,
Right.
and we decided that we need to do one for our folks. Midwest, South, East. And it was like lightning in a bottle. I mean, we knew it'd be successful because Jeff was already through the stratosphere with his popularity.
Mm-hmm.
But we had no idea. I mean, there was Blue Collar Dolls, for God's sakes. I mean, it was and it was crazy because we were selling out arenas. I mean, that just was unheard of. And a couple of memories I have were one day we were somewhere in the Midwest, maybe like it was a town small enough that it had a regional airport. They didn't bother putting international up there. And so for whatever, we were all coming from different locations because that was the beauty of the tour. You could go out and do your own show and then you came back with the guys.
Right.
And so everybody had a chartered plane. And for some reason, the promoter decided to get 4 limousines, which was silly because we all just rode in one car all the time.
Right.
But he got 4. So we finished the show and everybody jumps in a limo and we're driving out to the airport, and there's 4 private planes parked up and each limo peeled off at a jet. And I looked at Fox. I was standing on the steps of my plane and I looked at Fox and I said, dude, this is as close to rock and roll as we're ever going to get. It was just crazy. And the only thing I missed was we had a chance to hit the trifecta in LA. We played the Universal Amphitheater. We played the outdoor theater there. I'll think of
Hollywood Bowl.
But no, we did. That was the one missing. We didn't play the Hollywood Bowl.
Okay.
And I would have loved to have done that. That would have been great. And it was such a fun tour to do. And my only regret too is that we didn't take it overseas with the troops. That would have been great. I think the guys and girls would have loved that.
That would have been great. Bill, last time you were on the show, you did an incredible thing for my father and wished him a happy birthday and did a "Here's your sign." I'm so grateful for that. But for you, when your parents were around or any family member, was there a celebrity they always wanted to meet or talk to, kind of like your wife with Kevin Costner? Was there anybody that your family was just like, Bill, can you get me to meet so-and-so, or they were just in awe when you ran into somebody?
My dad would have loved to have met John Wayne.
Oh, absolutely.
But that was our guy. Unfortunately, John passed away before we had a chance to do that. But no, my family was never really into the whole celebrity thing. I was kind of the black sheep. They were, I'm sure my dad had plenty of sleepless nights when I told him I was going to be a comedian. But what he told me was, I've always wanted to try that. And I was like, you're a doctor. Why would you want to be a comedian? But he always said, I wish I'd have done that, and I wish that he could have had the chance before he passed away to do it. I can't tell you how it would have gone, but he would have been happy.
Is that where you got your comedy from? Was your father?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. Dad was always very funny. He had to be one of the first guy to start doing dad jokes, like dumb, like, what was one I saw the other day that I'd written down? Oh, if you're wide awake and the cows in the field are asleep, it's past your bedtime.
Wow. So, Bill, there is a loyal listener of the Stingray Show that would like to know why you chose Utah as your home place during the time when it's not cold up there. Do you have relatives up there, or what made you choose Utah to settle in?
My answer will be twofold. One, I don't think you ever really choose. I think life chooses it for you.
Right.
I never saw Utah on my radar at all. But we went up there, and the topography is insane. I mean, you got mountains, you got desert, you got Moab, you got Park City. And the people are really good. They're good people. And like summers in Park City are just off the charts. I mean, just great.
Oh, I bet. Absolutely.
But yeah, I just, and they got to, believe it or not, like Salt Lake City has this great food scene now. Salt Lake had to do a little growing up and expanding, otherwise they were going to get bypassed. And I think the Olympics helped them a lot.
Oh yeah.
And so now we got great restaurants and entertainment, and they got the Jazz, and they've also got the Utah Utes, and so it's a great state. I love it.
Okay. And my final question for you is this, and it's kind of serious, but if anybody is listening to the Stingray Show that is aspiring to be a comedian, what are some tips that you could give them about becoming a comedian?
Well, I could go for the funny answer and say don't. But it's actually a very good question. And my answer is very simple: do what you love, and don't let anybody tell you can't. There was, and you're gonna have setbacks, but if you really believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing, you'll get through it. I got passed over for every HBO one night stand and comedy special because they said I wasn't edgy enough, and you're not urban, and
Right.
I just stuck with what I believed in, and I think I've done pretty good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, Bill, look, man, thank you so much for this awesome interview. We always thoroughly enjoy you joining us, and we consider you now a friend of the show.
Thank you. I love doing this. Hope everybody has a great holidays coming over New Year's. And by the way, I'm telling everybody this: it's the season of drinking. So if you're going to go out with your friends and have some drinks, do yourself a favor. Get a Lyft, get an Uber, get a cab. It's not worth it, man.
Yes,
It's not. There's no shame in getting a ride home. And that's what I hope everybody will do. And Happy New Year.
yes, sir.
Hook 'em. And I'm going to be pulling for Alabama until they have to play Texas.
Yes, sir. And Bill, go on ahead and give us how far you think the Cowboys will go in the postseason.
There's a good chance we might play ourselves out of the postseason. We got Miami, we got Detroit, which scares me to death.
Yeah.
If we get to the postseason, I'll say we'll go one game. Because it's either got to go through Philadelphia, which I don't think it's going to lose twice to us. And then God forbid we get past that, then we got to go through the Niners, and there hadn't been a bloodbath like that since the Valentine's Day massacre.
So,
Well, Bill, I got to ask you, if the Longhorns win it all, we want you to come back and boast, but should we wait until the Cowboys are out of it, or
hell
in
no.
the NFC
No,
Championship,
hell no.
or the Super Bowl?
If the Longhorns win it, you call. I don't. The only problem you might have is I may be dancing around in my underwear. So just take it. You may want to do an audio call with Bill. I'm just saying.
So, Bill, thank you again for this awesome interview, and we hope that you have a very Merry Christmas and a
Same to
Happy
y'all.
New Year.
Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. We'll see you in the playoffs.
All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
man.
Bye.
Dude, that was so phenomenal there with Mr. Bill Engvall. Heath, your thoughts?
I love how Bill, not only does he know, but he's also a fan. He is in depth with his watching. He knows about names. He knows about backups. He knows about the schedule. He knows what's happening. He knows the playoff scenarios. He knows all the ins and outs when it comes to the Longhorns and his Dallas Cowboys. And that's what I absolutely find fascinating with Bill Engvall.
Dude, I hate that I did not get the opportunity to see him live perform. However, dude, I will take the alternate of interviewing him twice. I think that will suffice.
Yeah, if it happens and the Longhorns and Bama meet again, yeah, we know he'll be watching. But I'm more intrigued about how far the Cowboys go. He likes Dak. He's not in love with Dak. He has his doubts about Dak. He thinks he's Tony Romo 2.0. He mentioned that on the show earlier. So I'm going to just wait and see. I'm kind of pulling for Bill, not necessarily these teams. I'm kind of pulling for Bill to see what happens and his excitement because he is into it.
So, Heath, that is going to wrap up another edition of the Stingray Show. We hope that you have thoroughly enjoyed it with Mr. Bill Engvall. Make sure you tune in for another Stingray Show on Monday evening when the playoff games will be going on. And, Heath, let's go on ahead and do it together, my friend.
We are
Out.
out.
See you guys tomorrow night, right back here on the Stingray Show. Happy New Year, my friend.
Thank you, Stephen. And here's your son.